Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of Nothing Zilch Nada. We're your hosts, Xavier.
Jacob Green.
All right, and this week is Jake's topic. So, Jake, what topic do you have for us for this week?
Well, I figured that I mentioned it before, but when we did our topic from a few weeks ago on the two different types of short stories that I did, which we recorded in separate episodes, I mentioned a poetry journal that I did in my senior year of high school because we did poetry as one of the many things that we did in our literature structure for our class. So I'll probably go into more detail when I talk about what I did in terms of homeschooling, particularly in my high school years. But basic premise is that we did 6 subjects, which was math, science, Latin, which was our foreign language course, um, literature, uh, logic, and then I'm trying to remember what the sixth one was. I know debate was part of it, but it was like the American history and debate portion of our class. Um, I think there was a specific name for it, and I can't remember. It's not on top of my mind right now. But those are the 6 subjects. And literature was probably the most fleshed out of all of them because you know, we read books and we would write papers based on the books that we read. It was pick a topic that was relevant in the story. It was stuff like, oh, why this character should have or shouldn't have done this, or um, what could they have done instead, topics like that. Um, but we did other stuff too, because like I remember my senior year of high school, we did Shakespeare. Uh, that took up a lot of our literature course. And then, as I mentioned previously, we did short stories, which was also part of our literature content. And that I think that was my sophomore year of high school, sophomore or freshman year, I can't remember. Um, but my senior year, though, alongside Shakespeare, we also learned to write poetry. And um, this is why it took me a while to find this, and I've been keeping it in my backpack wherever I go just in case uh, I pull it out for this type of topic today, especially this weekend because I was super busy. Had to travel out of town for a few things, but here it is. Oh, hang on. Let me. It's my poetry journal. It says poetry journal. It's got a saxophone on it. Lighting's not that great.
Hmm.
In fact, let me
Well, I mean, your
see.
window's pointing to the east, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so the sun's behind you, so you know, that's where.
Either way,
Hmm.
either way, this is my poetry journal, and this was also my note-taking journal too, and it became kind of like my college notebook for my undergrad. This is where I would put all my schedule stuff, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the phones. Um, and we would read poetry as well. Like we read poetry from like Robert Louis Stevenson. Uh, we would read stuff. The Hobbit, or like Tolkien specifically, writes his own poems. Like even in the books, like the easiest example that I could give is Far Over the Misty Mountains. That poem, that's a very easy example of a poem that can stand on its own, but it's also very useful as well if you know the storyline of The Hobbit. Um, but we're not going to be reading those poems. Today, we're going to be reading the original poems that I wrote for this class, and the ones I experimented with. So, the earlier poems that I write are a little bit more experimental because they're all about, the environment, what you're feeling in terms of like an object that you're holding. And I have those poems. And I should probably put this out there now. So I'm not going to be starting out with these, but some of these later poems that I have written are going to get very dark. Like not morbid or they're gory or anything, but if you're not comfortable with like dark subjects, I will let Xavier know when we get to that point so that way you can try and skip. And for convenience sake, and also because this is the way I had those poems ordered as I originally wrote them, those darker poems will be in the middle section of the video. So, with that out of the way, let's start off with the lighter poems first. So we did this little experiment called Orange You Glad, where like there was a poem about an orange and about how it felt. I did my own take of it, but it's simply called The Lemon. So I'll read it for you. It feels firm at my grasp and about the size of a small football, bright as the yellow sun and hard as a rock. As I cut it open with my knife, sweet juices spill out, fragrances attack my nostrils. The inside is just as, and yet slightly delicate. As I pierce it with my finger, juices shoot out in drops. The taste is sweet and yet tart and sour to the tongue. It brings a feeling of pleasure and excitement. Pretty simple. Now, it's not as there's not connecting threads in terms of like words that sound similar to one another in the sentences, but like that's not the point of this poem. The poem is about the descriptiveness of everything.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know that's how you felt about lemons, Jake. No.
Well, you're gonna enjoy this next poem. This one is probably this is the funniest one in the book. Now I'm not gonna say the title. The point of this poem is to what's the best way to put it? It's about like misguiding the reader and thinking that like, oh, this thing that's supposed to be grand and spectacular is actually not.
Oh, so you're being an unreliable narrator.
Yes, but with a purpose. So I will not say what the title is until the end. Xavier, you might be able to figure out what my poem is about. So you might be able to. I said might. So here's how it goes. One day, I went for a relaxing stroll on the alleyway. I came across a very remarkable smell and engaged my nostrils and bringing tears to my eyes. I decided to see where the amazing odor was coming from. After a couple of blocks down the alley, there lay the source of the anonymous smell. There were two large and deep metal embroidered chests, and to my surprise, valuables were scattered about. The inside of the containers was nothing but filthy rich treasures of crystal clear bottles and cans of silver colored qualities, and bags filled with a lifetime supply of goodies from nearby places. But then I saw a third compartment that gave off a pungent, perfumed odor. I opened it to find a pool of liquid as gold as the sun. And my
Oh,
overall opinion of seeing this sight and breathing in a perfect combination of savory scents, disappointment, and despair. Have you figured it out?
I figured it out immediately.
Yeah. You want
Uh,
to know you know what the title of this poem is?
what?
I call it the trash of grandeurs, grandage,
I
the
like it.
trash of grandage. Okay, yeah. So, so for those that do not personally know me, I live nearby a restaurant, which I am not going to say the name of it,
To be fair, that
but
restaurant's no longer there. It's just now a different restaurant under a different name.
yeah, but the trash cans are still there, and yes, they do smell. So, now I didn't literally open the cans because well, the cans were like fenced up, and they just smelled so bad, and like they smelled so bad, and especially for us, for my dad specifically, because he goes through like a different entrance to the house. It's like right next to where he enters at, and it just smells awful. Um, but that third compartment that I was talking about, the liquid gold, that's where they dump the grease at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the point is to make like reading it. I could have done a better job and maybe hiding it a little bit better. Um,
I think you did great.
but because like when I mention cans, cans are usually something that you don't find in a treasure chest. Um,
Now,
but
not true. I know some places that will have. I mean, this is because I go to a lot of antique stores. You'll see a lot of actual antique chests filled with glass bottles from hundreds of years ago.
yeah, um, yeah, but I just found it to be funny at the time, and I still find it funny, you know, writing a poem about something that I personally disdain. And yes, I still do disdain it, and so does my entire family.
Yep.
Um, so let's see, what should I read? I don't know if I want to read like every poem. Oh, here's a short one about the garden. So my mom really cares about gardening, so this is about her garden specifically. So here's how it goes. Dancing pom-poms with leaves of emerald green. An oriental fanned hummingbird flits by. Sharp blades of grass are spread far and wide with bright sunshiny dandelions. Welcome to my magnificent garden. And yes, we used to get hummingbirds by our house because we would have this vine plant at the time. We no longer have it because it just became too much to maintain and it was kind of overtaking the yard.
Hmm.
Um, oh, so I of course, because I'm a musician, I wrote poems about music. So this is a poem about music. It's called Sonnet of Music.
Okay, can you sing this?
No,
Man.
I mean, I guess I could chant it.
Nah, I was meaning it partially as a joke and partially because I know a lot of people say that poems can not only be said but sung. So, but mostly it was just a joke because usually
Yeah.
you say
Well,
things about
the
music.
movie version of the Misty Mountains has it where like um the Misty Mountains song is like an actual song.
Hmm.
and it sounds really good. Like, but like, say what you want about the Hobbit movies, I personally disdain them with every fiber of my being. But the soundtracks, with a lot of reused songs, but also the new songs, like the new songs are pretty good. Howard Shore does not miss. Anyways, this is sonnet of music. Oh, sweet music of wondrous sound, how you soothe my ears. You are quiet and you are loud. You pass me by the coming years. You hear my cries and sorrows, my joys, triumphs, and trials. You are always there by the morrow, and you never are hostile. When you are excited, you roar. When you are down, you moan. But you are never a bore, and you constantly move my bones. Oh, sweet music of wondrous sound, how you never cease to make me come around.
I like it.
Mhm.
I like it. So that's why you love music, Jake. Make, makes you come around.
Shut up.
Uh,
Okay, how's our time right now?
I honestly have no clue. Spotify won't give me time until we hit the 10-minute mark, but I haven't gotten there yet, so I think we're somewhere within the 20-minute mark.
Okay, all right. Uh, so I think this is a good point to I'm about to read the deep poems. Some
Okay.
of them are dark, but some of them are also deep. So if you can handle it, if you don't feel that comfortable me reading through this stuff, then we'll skip to a certain section and we'll come back later.
Mhm. And
So,
then what I'm going to do, because I'm sure there's going to be some of you who are just wanting to skip over them entirely, I'm going to start a stopwatch. You
mhm.
may see me put a clip of myself telling you how long to skip before we get back to what might be a more enjoyable poem. Not saying that they're not enjoyable, but like since right now we're going to deep and dark,
Yep.
existential, you know, like I
All
said,
right.
starting a stopwatch. So I'm gonna start right now. You're gonna see me
Mhm.
pop up saying skip this many minutes forward, and we'll continue on. All right.
So here's one that kind of starts it off a little bit. So this one I wrote called Heart of Fire. My heart of fire burns a passion, one whose flame never dies. Its fuel is of color with no ash, one that kindles sparks in the eyes. However, my heart drops like a stone. The flame is blown out by a ferocious wind, one chilled to the very bone. As my heart turns black and cold, the fog grows gray and thick. It looms over centuries foretold and goes down the darkest pit. But yet a sparkle lights and sends my heart to glow. The fire burns of power and might, and sends the darkness back below. My heart of fire burns of passion, one whose flame never dies. Yeah, got anything to say about that?
No, other than I can, or I, not I can relate right now, but I have felt situations like that
Mm-hmm.
in the past. Just, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's something that, especially nowadays, everyone can relate to in some capacity.
Yes. Let's see here. Okay. Here's another one. This one is titled "You Are Gone Forever." You revolved my world, you lit up my path, but you won't come back. You are gone forever. I miss the memories, I miss the moments, both good and bad, both big and little. My heart's in pain, I want you back, but I can't come back as my fear holds me back. I miss the feeling of your arms, I miss the sweetness of your Words. I miss the tenderness of your kiss. I miss your smile that sends me a light. But it won't come back, no matter how hard I try. You are gone forever, and I'll miss you forever. Yeah, I can't.
That one's
My mom
that one hit.
allowed this. My mom allowed this for the record. Um,
Hmm.
but
No, that one
well,
is
I mean, I don't think she necessarily approved of it, but she was like understanding of it.
so.
Um,
So the thing about that one,
mhm,
because everyone, I believe everyone would know what that poem stands for. It's, you know,
mhm.
the death of
Yeah,
a.
you especially know what I'm talking about.
I do especially know what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
But reading it now, I think it can relate to, well, it does have some hyper specific stuff in there. I think if I retooled it a little bit, I can make it so that way it can relate to other people
Hmm.
as well. Because like, I think about it especially when I write music now, because one of the things I think about when I write music is because, yeah, part of it is me writing for it personally, but I also think about, well, how can it relate to other people as well? And maybe I should talk about some of the stuff that I've composed one of these days. Um, but let's move on to another one. This one is simply titled Fear. So fear could take multiple forms. It could be seen and unseen. It follows you around every corner. It knows where you are and who you are. Fear can warp your mind. It can whisper things to you. It seem it wait. Okay, so here's the thing with some of these poems. I have obvious misspellings in there. And I've tried to hide it for some of these, but I've read this and it's just like, okay, let me reread that again. Fear can warp your mind. It can whisper things to you. It want it seems to want you and bind you. It seems to want you forever. But don't let it knock you off. Get back up and fight. Fear deserves a beat down, not you. Throw every punch and hold on tight. Sometimes you can conquer it, sometimes you can't. But your friends are there to back you up, and fear has no friends. Fear is strong, fear is scary, but don't go down and don't ever fail.
I like that one. That
Mhm,
one. So that one's for me. It's powerful. It's when you get close to the end, it is enlightening. It's empowering. I don't know. I'm just a
mhm,
fan of. Oh yeah, you've got these fears, but you gotta push through those.
mhm.
The funny part about that poem, not saying that your poem's funny, but the funny part about that poem, a couple weeks ago, I so my senior year, I had a little bit of a poetry phase. It was more one specific type of poem, which at a certain point you couldn't really see as a poem. It's these acrostic poems where you would take the first letter or of each sentence or each stanza, and each one is a or is one of the letters in the title of what it is. Well, recently I like temporarily got back into doing those, and my first one sort of tackled fear, just like briefly.
Mhm.
So I don't know, you said fear, and in my mind I'm like, I did something like that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. By the way, these were rendered my senior year of high school, so this was
Mhm.
like 2019, 2020, that year. I
Yeah.
have not written any poems since then.
Hmm.
Um, in fact, I think I stopped writing poems once I got into my first year of college.
All right.
Anyways, continuing down the rabbit hole. Let's read this one. It's called I Can't Play Pretend. I can't ignore this right now and see that everything is okay. I can't play pretend for life and fake it for the rest of my life. If I pretend that I'm okay, I'll get the feeling of dread. I'll keep avoiding everything and ignore the warning signs. If I pretend that I'm okay, I'll be living in a lie. I'll regret everything in that life. I'll take it down to my grave. If I pretend that I'm okay, I'll keep growing worse in health. My mind and body will lose purpose. I'll lose control of my life. I can't do it. I won't do it. There's too much for us to lose. I can't play pretend for life, as we will hide from the truth. So that one is it's pretty obvious what it's trying to imply.
Hmm.
Um the thing about it though is that like there is truth to it because like not just for like hiding your emotions, but like also for people that are lying to themselves based on like appearance or actions, you know. It's like it's like people who use their wealth to make it seem like oh, I'm a generous person because I'm wealthy, uh but people can use that to their advantage in order to get more viewers, get more people to follow them
Hmm.
because all they care about is a head count, and it's a sad fact. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, let's see. I'm trying to read and see how many of these.
Hmm.
Okay, so I guess I have two more. The other one is not as dark.
Hmm.
This one is. So this one is called The Broken Promise. I shared my pains to you, my woes and grievances. I gave my trust to you, and now the light has been snuffed out. You spread it like a virus and infects people's minds. It was only between us, and we have been unbinded. I feel as if I could come back and forget the incident, but the damage is done and cracked, and will forever reminisce. It will, and it will forever be reminiscent. It'll take many years to mend. It'll take many years to stay silent, for a promise should never bend and should stay private.
Look, it was one race. I had to lie to you in order to get your personal record.
I
I was trying to. I'm sorry, but I was trying to think
I
of the perfect joke for that, and I'm like, I might as
oh
well.
man.
But no, but that I. So I personally can't relate to that one because I haven't been in a situation like that. I hope that poem's not about me. Is it about me?
No.
Okay.
If it was, I probably would have told you about it sooner.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
no,
So,
no,
but
no.
no,
Okay.
but anyway, I personally can't relate to this because I haven't been in that sort of situation. But I do understand that this situation happens all the time. I know there's other people who feel this way.
Mhm.
I I
Yeah, and it's a mhm.
feel like I know the situation, like the one situation that this was based around. I'm not gonna
Yes.
say it, but I think I know which situation because I think you and I have talked about it a couple times.
Yes. It's I mean ultimately it's whoever tells on you, it's it's mostly their fault because like you're supposed to trust them, but like this also extends to like you personally have to be careful with who you're sharing your information with, and I'm someone that tries to be careful with who I share my information with, you know. um there are only a few people that I know where they actually know more about me than other people do. um
I'm one of them, I think.
yeah, yes, he's one of them. um Okay, so I thought I had one more. I guess I could read some of it, but this was one. This was one where I started it. There's kind of some good detail in it.
Mm.
Um, but I never finished ending it. I'm not sure why it dropped off. I guess I couldn't think of anything else to say at that time.
Left
Uh,
at a cliffhanger.
well, this is, and it's funny because this one is about 2020 in general, or what, at least what happened so far.
Hmm.
Um, so I have two paragraphs written. There is like a third one, but I didn't finish it. So I'll just read the first two that I have. No one will forget this year, for it first seemed to be a bore. But lo and behold our ears when we heard these 20s roar. Schools and businesses closed down, people went away for a distance. Many heard the news and broke down, and the world lost its stance. Yeah, so that's all I've written about it. And I was writing stuff about the many days we had to stay inside, but like I didn't finish that. I think my favorite line is just the fact that when we heard these 20s roar, because
Hmm.
it's kind of reminiscent of like the roaring 20s
Yeah.
and how that led to like the stock market crash in like 29.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Okay, so that's the end of Dark Poem section. We're done. We're done reading Dark Tales. So the rest of this will be uh some of it will still be deep, but they're not the depressing or dark kind.
Yep. And
So
welcome back to those of you who ended up skipping. Um,
mhm.
Good thing we gave you that warning, right? And for those of you who started watching and you're like, ah, I gotta skip. That's okay. Not everyone's
Yeah,
like this.
we understand.
Hmm.
Okay, so one of the coolest things that I came up with was to make poems based off of the ocarina songs that were in Ocarina of Time. And I don't think I did the ones in Majora's Mask. I did the main ones in Ocarina of Time, or at least some of my favorites. Because like the names of the ocarina songs are music, different types of music styles. So like you got stuff like the Serenade of Water, the Barello of Fire, the Minuet of Forest. So I tried to base it around that because with poetry, you could play around with the phrasing of like sentences to make it sound like three beats or four,
Hmm.
or at least to have some type of rhythm going. So here's the first of these that I wrote, at least in the order that I started on. This one is the Serenade of Water. This music that is sang in open air brings me to sleep safe and sound. Its notes come in the form of tears, its melody comes in rounds. The stream of notes is very soothing. Every drop brings peace to mind. The sparkling voices are very musing, every splash being one of a kind. The beauty of its sound is peaceful, and the trinkling of notes is the trinkling of notes is mesmerizing.
I like it.
Yeah, and part of the inspiration for this too, although I don't think I used any of the specific lines, but like it's kind of based around Sheik, the character Sheik in
Hmm.
Ocarina of Time that teaches you like the ocarina songs, and it's like a duet with Sheik's harp and Link's ocarina, and that's
Hmm.
how you learn the songs. And those are like some of the key moments that I remember in that game. It's learning the songs and those duet moments that take place.
Yep.
Okay, this uh
All right. We might only have time for one more of these, Jake. I've got
uh
I've got 6 minutes left on the time. I'm
hmm.
sorry. I'm cheap. I can't buy the pro version of Zoom.
Yeah, well, considering the fact that there aren't too many left, and there's one in particular that I really want to read because I think it is appropriate for an ending to
Mhm.
this.
Like I said, I
Uh,
figured I'd let you know that we're close to our end. That way, if there was that one, you'd read that one.
mm,
I mean, we could always just leave it for a part two in a later date.
yeah, but the thing is, I don't think there'd be enough for a part two. That's the only thing.
I'm sure I
Uh,
could. throw a couple poems in if we were to do a part two.
You know what? Fine. I guess I'll read the last I think this might have been the last poem that I wrote.
Okay.
But this is simply titled These 4 Years, and it's just about my 4 years in high school.
Mm.
Year one was a learning time, a time for mistakes, a time to reach my prime, a time for taking risks and stakes. Year two was an improvement in my skills, an improvement in my achievement, an improvement beyond my thrills. Year three was when I took my stance, a stance to achieve my goals, a stance to let my skills enhance, a stance to bring out my soul. Year four was a year worth remembering, a year of trials, pains, and sorrows, a year of dreams and goals accomplished, a year to end all these 4 years. These 4 years have many themes, memories both good and bad, friends and allies I can trust, and goals beyond anything. I will keep learning, losing, and winning my battles, but I'll never forget what these 4 years have brought forth.
We need to send that out to a bunch of high schools in the spring. Because that sounds like a perfect. Like, I know certain graduation ceremonies, people will read like these poems that have been made by famous people, or read like short stories and stuff like that as a way to sum up their 4 years of high school. This is the perfect sum up to high school for just about anyone. Regardless of what happened in high school.
Yeah, but the only thing is that it's a little bit too specific for me because like for every I mean, I'm sure for some people it's similar, but for other people it might not be.
That's true.
But you know, it could relate to some people and it could show, you know, if I mean, I think I did read this because I think it might have been treated as the last poem for like our last year in high school for homeschooling,
Hmm.
or at least for our curriculum program. Um, but if I were to say do a high school graduation speech on it, or if someone else were to read it, you know, I think it might be good for that, you know,
Hmm.
just to show that like um, and this goes for anything, but like you know, much like life itself, your years in school aren't necessarily going to be that picturesque move picturesque thing that you didn't think it was going to be. I
No.
mean, I wasn't one of those people, but who thought that high school was going to be just like High School Musical?
Yeah, I wanted to sing. Okay, maybe not. But
Man.
I was the worst part about that was I was waiting specifically so I could make a High School Musical related joke. But no, I completely understand that. Growing up there, high school was that grand thing where this is the last step before you become an adult, and
Hmm.
you get a lot of these things coming your way, and you're sitting, you're like, oh, so I'm gonna be doing this and this and this and this, and I'm gonna get good grades. I'm gonna be the best in my sport. I'm gonna
Gonna
be,
be the best that no one ever was.
mm-hmm. But in actuality, what happens happens.
Yeah, there are unexpected challenges that come through your way. And like that happened to me during my senior year of high school.
Mm.
And even in my college years. I mean, I will say my senior year of high school was probably like one of the worst years that I can remember. Like, and if you think it was just COVID, it went beyond that.
There's
But
there was more.
yeah, there is more. Um, but you know, you'll learn from those painful experiences as
Hmm.
much as we say, you know, to try to avoid those, but sometimes those things are thrown your way. And the best thing that you can do is to try and charge forward because while you may not always find uh the light in the tunnel, actually, okay. So getting back to what I was saying earlier.
Mhm.
So when you sometimes uh and it's funny that I bring this up, trying to find the light at the end of the tunnel because I was watching Avatar: The Last Airbender with my nieces and nephews last week, and it was book three, or tens towards the end of like season three when Aang has his talk with Uncle Iroh, and Iroh uh tells them about the light at the end of the tunnel, where it's like, you can't always see the light in at the end of the tunnel just because it's pitch black. But like if you dig deep enough, you might come to a magnificent place.
Mhm.
So just to say that, like, things can be rough. They really can be.
Yes.
But um keep crawling your way forward because you might be able to land opportunities that might be better than what you have originally thought of.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, those are my poems, or at least
Hmm.
the most important ones. There's still some poems that I haven't read, but there's always room for a part two.
There is room for a part two. And this part two might include some of my poems. I will give a fair warning about the poems I made in high school. Most of them went to a very similar-ish dark place. A lot of mine were more story-based than Jake's were, which is why I said they're like half poems, half stories. But overall, there was a lot of death. There was a lot of horror to it. I got really into Edgar Allan Poe and Stephen King at that time.
And I really like Edgar Allan Poe. And my niece was telling me that they learned in Edgar Allan Poe yesterday. She's not as into death and whatnot as well, I'm not into stuff like that, but I read, like, I'm reading a book series right now called The Forgotten Warrior, and that has the most amount of gore I've ever read in a book, and it is messed up. But it's
Mm.
also really good because it's got really good characters in it, and also a villain that has. I'll talk about it some other time. We need to talk about our favorite books, man.
Me too. I mean, granted, mine are gonna be like some of the classic classics, like Frankenstein and A Christmas Carol and The Body. You gotta love The Body.
Yeah, the body. Um, yeah, but overall, maybe I'll get back into poetry one of these days. Poetry can be an actual form of note taking.
Hmm.
And like if you're interested in like learning how to be better as a poet, I recommend like finding different types of poems online because like, there's stuff like sonnets, there's stuff that plays around with the time and rhythm of the sentences.
You
Uh,
could be a
there,
haiku kind of guy.
Oh yeah, yeah, and we did haikus too. Except I-
Hmm.
I'm sure I have a haiku written in there somewhere. I'll have to check and see. But I know we did haikus at one point.
So my
Um,
one genuine published poem was a type of poem called a diamante. It's, I want to say it's 8 lines. The first, fourth, and seventh line matched. The second and eighth line matched. I think it was the second and Oh, there was no rhyming. Never mind. But yeah, you still there, Jake?
Yeah, I'm still there. I'm just checking something. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, but there's so many different poems. Like Jake said, you could always research them.
Hmm.
I personally, for me, I would recommend reading a lot of poems from other people.
Yeah.
Um, there's like the obvious Edgar Allan Poe, Ernest Hemingway, uh,
Christopher who is it? Christopher Stevenson?
Christopher
I think it is.
Stevenson. As well, there's a series of poetry books that you can find at your local bookstore. I remember a couple of years ago, there was a book of poems revolving around the same topic called, I want to say it was called October Morning. It focused on one key event. It was a dark event, but it showed how different people can look at this one event and write a poem in different standpoints. I think there was one revolving around the victim's cat. That
Yeah.
was, that was a pretty cool one.
Robert Stevenson. That was the name I was
Robert
thinking of.
Stevenson.
Yeah. And look up Tolkien too, because
Well, I mean,
um
that one's obvious. You gotta look at Tolkien.
yeah, Tolkien wrote a bunch of his own poems, especially some that aren't even featured in the books, or at
Mm,
least the main books like The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings. Um, I even have like a Tolkien poem on a compass that is basically the not not all that is gold glitters.
hmm
Um, But yeah, always expose yourself to different types of literature because it can really heighten your understanding. And plus, it's good to, practice on your curricular thinking and language development, even when you don't have the opportunity to have conversations like we do.
Yep. Just don't expose yourself in public. We don't need anyone flashing anyone else.
Yeah, but with that being said, that is a wrap for this episode.
Yep. All right. So I'm just gonna let you guys know next week it'll be my topic. I had the idea of doing poems as well, about a week ago, which was really
Hmm.
fitting, but I ended up choosing a different topic. So, Jake, for this week, as preparation,
Hmm.
you look closely at your car, intently at your car, and think about what
Okay.
they need or what it won't need. I can't give you more than that. But with that being said, I'm Xavier Dean.
And I'm Jacob Green.
We'll see you next week and have a wonderful night.